multiple injuries. In Abuja, Rabi Abdallah, NTA News.
You're watching news on NTA International, reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria. Earlier, you heard that National Environmental Standards and Regulations Enforcement Agency has kicked off Vehicular Emission Control Program. We reported that towards combating desertification, the Federal Ministry of Environment has begun distribution of clean cooking stove in Zamfara State, northwest Nigeria. You also heard that victims of the two Nyanya bomb blasts have received support funds worth over 5 million naira from well-meaning Nigerians. And still to come, South African athlete and star Paralympian Oscar Pistorius convicted of culpable homicide. Plus, international monetary funds against cut in growth in African countries affected by Ebola outbreak. Stay tuned.
Nigeria, we the people decree that the power of evil secrecy shall fail.
All Nigerians should understand that a divided Nigeria can only mean catastrophic consequences for the entire black race.
We all African countries count on you, and you are our beacon of hope.
That when Nigeria sneezes, all of us will catch hold.
All of us who look to Nigeria for lessons and inspiration never cease to thank God for this wonderful gift to Africa.
Nigeria enjoys the respect, the admiration, the friendship, and the hope of an entire continent.
The powerhouse of Africa.
Nigeria.
Unite and build Nigeria.
God bless Nigeria.
A message from protectors of Nigerian posterity.
Till there, Igbo traders all over Nigeria have been encouraged to shut down their businesses for one day to ensure they participate in the ongoing voter registration exercise. A socio-cultural group under the auspices of Goodluck Ganiru 2015 made the call, saying this will make them eligible to vote for President Jonathan for another victory come 2015 elections. The report. Comprising Ndibo in Nigeria and the diaspora, the Goodluck Ganiru 2015 at its maiden National Executive Council meeting in Abuja drew a 16-point communique which, among others, commended President Goodluck Jonathan for maintaining the unity of Nigeria despite ceaseless distractions. Worthy of appreciation, the group noted, are the 220 billion naira disbursement for micro, small and medium enterprises, the groundbreaking of the second Niger Bridge, completion of an international airport in the southeast, and the Onitsha Seaport. The group asked for maximum security ahead of 2015 elections.
Federal government to devote sufficient resources in uplifting and building technology infrastructure needed to jumpstart industrial development.
If he has not done well, we're going to gather.
And it takes Goodluck Jonathan to revive the, almost comatose agriculture sector in Nigeria.
Equally attracting the support of this group are the rare qualities of First Lady Dame Patience Jonathan.
We are thanking the First Lady for giving us the 30%. The way she's taking women along in all what she's doing and caring for people like her own children.
For this group called Goodluck Ganiru, meaning forward ever, President Jonathan should not stop, but rather continue in office in his bid to put Nigeria on the right path. Contractors handling various projects in the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs have been shown genuine commitment are to receive further payments, while those whose projects have been stalled are to face the wrath of the federal government. Minister of Niger Delta Affairs Steve Oru stated this while inspecting 9 project sites in Abia, Imo, Rivers and Akwa Ibom states. Mia Ogide reports.
A Lele Skills Acquisition Center in Rivers State, awarded in 2010, was the first project inspected by the minister, but unfortunately it was not a good starting point as the project is completely stalled. The minister reacted.
The ministry was stretched thin, working on 9 skill acquisition centers at the same time. Right now, out of the 9, none was functioning. And this one, I don't see, I think it's hopeless.
At the Gbema Skills Acquisition Center in Imo State, the project is nearing completion, but the minister observed some structural defects which he ordered the contractor to correct them before commissioning. At the Umuago 40 housing units project in Imo State is ready for commissioning. Work has also reached advanced stage at the 30-kilometer MBC Ring Road project with the standard drainage system, while the 35-kilometer Owerri-Elele Road dualization will be ready for commissioning next year with the intervention of the SOP office. The minister rounded off the inspection at the 50-kilometer Obeya-Azumini Road project connecting Abia and Akwa Ibom State. The project is also to be completed next year through the intervention of the SOP fund.
Able to assess a reasonable sum of money that will keep this project alive and bring it back to life again.
The skill acquisition centers are to train youths in the Niger Delta region, especially in the areas of commerce and industry, oil and gas, as well as marine and dredging. And the roads are to enable the rural farmers to take their agricultural produce to the markets in the city. In Port Harcourt, Mie Ogidi, NTA News.
And more on building for development. About 50,000 housing units are expected to be delivered to the Nigerian government under the agreement for the concessioning of the reclamation and infrastructural development of Festac Phase 2 Lagos. This came to light when the Minister of Lands, Housing and Urban Development, Mrs. Akon Etin Kenny, signed the agreement with the Festac concession in Abuja. Phoebe Kabruk completes the story.
The Nigerian government acquired 2,024 hectares of land in Lagos to build and accommodate participants to the Second World Black and African Festival of Arts and Culture, Festac, in 1977 under the Phase 1 arrangement. The project was executed leaving a balance of 1,126 hectares, which is what the Federal Housing Authority is taking advantage of the private-public partnership to embark on the project on their concession in line with the government policy on housing.
Government earnings from the project is estimated at 25.7 billion as premium for about 30 years of concession and an additional 150 million ground rent annually. The parties have agreed to a review clause of the earnings to reflect market situation with slightly higher earnings anticipated at the end of the day.
Chairman of the concessioning company, Isaac Chooks, said the project holds a lot of developmental dividends for the country and assured that they will deliver on the expectations of the federal government housing policy and the public.
It's with deep satisfaction that I recall that the journey so far started in 2004. I received the approval and ratification of Federal Council of 13th of March 2013 is today a reality.
When completed, the project is expected to generate over 3,000 jobs every year for Nigerians. Phoebe Kabruk, NTA News.
In a related move, Nigerian government spends 120 billion naira on construction of roads in Abia State, southeast Nigeria. Heritage Bank emerges preferred bidder for Enterprise Bank. Plus, Naira likely to weaken against the dollar next week. Details with Muplang Dakok on Business News.
The Federal Controller of Works in Abia State said 10 federal roads in the state are undergoing rehabilitation. The project is to go up 120 billion naira. He said so far, 23.7 kilometers of the road have been completed. The Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria has announced Heritage Bank as the preferred bidder for Enterprise Bank. Reports say Sky Bank, Fidelity Bank and Heritage Bank had keenly contested for the bank. AMCON will announce the preferred bidders for Main Street Bank and Keystone Banks subsequently. Meanwhile, The naira is likely to weaken further against the dollar next week. This is because the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) failed to lift the currency despite selling about $300 million to support the local currency. The naira traded 163.10 naira to the dollar on Thursday, weaker than 162.87 naira recorded on Wednesday. Muplang Dakok, NTA News.
South African athlete and star Paralympian Oscar Pistorius has been convicted of culpable homicide and granted bail until October 13 for sentencing. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, warns of cut in growth in Liberia, Sierra Leone and Guinea due to Ebola outbreak, and floods in India and Pakistan recede, allowing rescue operations. Details with Oku Emayong.
South African athlete and star Paralympian Oscar Pistorius has been found guilty of culpable homicide and granted bail extension until sentencing on October 13.
I have considered the submissions by counsel. This is not a Schedule 5 or a Schedule 6 offense. For that reason, the onus is on the state to persuade this court that it was not in the interest of justice that the accused bail be extended. I am not so persuaded.
Meanwhile, South Africa's National Prosecution Authority has expressed disappointment after the athlete was found guilty of culpable homicide.
We are disappointed that we did not get or secure a conviction on premeditated murder, and also that there was an acquittal on the other two charges.
A reasonable man in exactly those same circumstances, facing danger, who had to protect himself, might have done it. And that's good enough for acquittal.
The International Monetary Fund, IMF, has warned that the impact of the Ebola outbreak will cut growth in Liberia, Sierra Leone and Guinea, raising their financing needs from 100 to 130 million US dollars each.
All three countries do have a IMF program, so we're in active engagement right now with the authorities to help determine how we can cover the additional financing requirement that they're facing.
And the deadly floods in India and Pakistan are beginning to recede, allowing rescue teams a chance to evacuate thousands stranded by the heaviest rainfall experienced in the area in at least 50 years. At least 450 people have died and hundreds of thousands are still trapped by rising water levels and landslides in the heavily militarized and disputed region of Kashmir. Oku Ekpayong, NTA News.
Nigeria's Golden Eaglets is set for African Under-17 qualifier against Gabon Saturday. Kenei Mabodihe tells us more on Sports Update.
Nigeria's Golden Eaglets are set to take on their Gabonese counterparts in the first leg final round African Under-17 qualifier Saturday in Libreville, Gabon. The 30-man contingent, however, had to travel by road through Cotonou, Benin Republic to connect a flight as Gabonese authorities had earlier banned flights between both countries over threat of Ebola disease. The winners of the Nigeria-Gabon matchup will qualify for the 2015 African Junior Championship in the Niger Republic early next year. After the 3-week intensive campaign in Abuja and the painstaking selection of 14 players and 2 standby players, the national men's cricket team is now ready to compete in the 2014 ICC T20 Africa Division 1 qualifier slated for South Africa September 20 to 24. Prior to the competition proper, Team Nigeria, which departed the nation Friday, will engage in friendlies against 3 club sides in the bid to test run their fighting skills.
We've been used to tough teams. Now we are playing with a lesser team. So in as much as we're not taking them for granted, we are prepared and we are poised to go back to where we came from.
Nigeria will play Swaziland, Ghana, Seychelles, Mozambique and Zambia in a round robin to determine who qualifies for Division 1. After he was cleared on Thursday of murdering his girlfriend River Steenkamp on Valentine's Day last year, star athlete Oscar Pistorius was on Friday found guilty of culpable homicide. Judge Thokozile Masipa submitted that there was not enough evidence to prove beyond reasonable doubt that the athlete was guilty of premeditated murder or murder. He was also found guilty on one firearms charge but acquitted on 2 others. Pistorius could face up to 15 days in jail on the culpable homicide charge, but he will not be sentenced until mid-October. With sports update, Kanayima Bodike, NTA News.
Weather forecast for Saturday is next on major Nigerian and world cities.